There comes a moment in every journey when you can feel something stirring in the unseen, a quiet movement, a divine orchestration, a whisper from eternity saying, "The shift has begun." You may not see the evidence yet. The outer world might still look unchanged. But deep within, your spirit knows, you can feel it, that holy restlessness that tells you something greater is unfolding. Every prayer you've spoken, every tear you've shed, every act of faith when you could have surrendered to fear, none of it has been wasted. The universe does not forget a heart that dares to believe. You are not being delayed. You are being prepared. The divine order of your life is rearranging the pieces you cannot see, aligning people, opportunities, and circumstances in your favor. What feels like silence is not abandonment, it's construction. When life seems still, heaven is building. When doors seem closed, new paths are being carved. And when you feel forgotten, you are being positioned for favor. Do not give up now. The urge to quit is the sign that the shift is near. That resistance you feel is not the end, it's the birth pain of transformation. Hold the vision, even when your eyes cannot confirm it. Speak as though it's already done. Walk as though you've already received it. Everything is working in your favor, even what looks like loss, even what feels like delay. The unseen hand of divine intelligence is rewriting your story in ways your mind cannot yet grasp. You are stepping into alignment with grace. The waiting is over. The unfolding has begun. The shift is not coming. It's here. So lift your head. Speak your faith aloud and give thanks not for what you will have, but for what already belongs to you. Because now everything is working in your favor, and this time nothing can stop it. The shift has begun. Don't give up now. There is a moment, quiet and almost imperceptible, when everything begins to turn in your favor. It doesn't come with thunder or applause. It doesn't announce itself with visible change. Yet deep inside, something begins to move, softly, silently, powerfully. The unseen shift has already begun. What you've been praying for, hoping for, believing for, has already started to make its way toward you, though your physical eyes may not yet perceive it. Life is not only what we see. The visible world is but a shadow of the invisible realm where all creation begins. Every answered prayer, every manifestation, every miracle first existed in that unseen space, the dimension of thought, belief, and faith. When you align your mind and emotions with the reality you seek, you set in motion forces that cannot be stopped. Energy begins to rearrange. People begin to move. Circumstances start shifting in alignment with the picture you hold within. The unseen shift is often misunderstood because it doesn't bring instant evidence. It requires faith in moments of silence. It demands that you trust what you feel more than what you see. You may still be standing in the middle of what appears to be delay, but delay does not mean denial. It simply means divine timing is unfolding perfectly, beyond the limits of your sight. Every time you imagine the outcome you desire, you give it life. Every time you choose hope instead of fear, you quicken the unseen process. Even your challenges are part of the rearrangement, moving old patterns out of the way to make room for what is new. The breaking is not punishment, it's preparation. You are being reformed to hold the blessing that's on its way. In the unseen, your future is already complete. The moment you truly believe, what you seek begins to move toward you. Invisible threads start weaving connections that lead you to divine encounters and destined opportunities. You may think you're walking alone, but unseen hands are guiding you, unseen doors are opening for you, unseen favor is paving the road ahead. This is why you must not be deceived by appearances. When nothing seems to be changing, that is when the greatest change is happening. Just as seeds break open in the darkness before they sprout, so too is your breakthrough germinating beneath the surface. You can't see it yet, but it's alive, it's growing, it's coming. So hold your faith steady. Keep speaking life over your dream. Keep walking as though it's already yours, because in truth, it already is. The unseen shift has already begun. The movement toward your destiny is in progress. Trust that the divine is aligning everything perfectly in your favor. Soon, what was hidden will become visible. What was delayed will manifest. And you will look back and realize that even when you couldn't see it, everything was moving for your good. The unseen has always been working, quietly, faithfully, unfailingly, on your behalf. Faith is the bridge between what is unseen and what becomes seen. It is the invisible connection between your inner conviction and outer manifestation. Every time you choose to trust, even when there is no proof, you lay another plank on that bridge. A bridge that carries your dreams from imagination to reality. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is knowing with quiet certainty that what you have believed already exists in the unseen realm and is on its way into form. The invisible world is the birthplace of everything. Every invention, every miracle, every answered prayer began first as an unseen thought, a spark within the mind, a whisper within the heart. Before the tree appears, the seed must first rest beneath the soil. Before the dawn, there is the deep stillness of night. Likewise, before the evidence of your desire shows itself, faith must first take root within you. It is your unwavering belief that nourishes the unseen into visibility. Faith is not blind, it simply sees differently. It perceives what the eyes cannot. It looks beyond circumstances, beyond delay, beyond appearances, and anchors itself in the promise that what is imagined is already true in a higher dimension. When you believe deeply, your belief becomes the creative force that draws the invisible into reality. The unseen world responds to your inner conviction. It bends to the strength of your trust. Every thought of doubt builds distance between you and your dream, but every thought of faith shortens the gap. Faith does not require evidence to begin, it creates the evidence. The outer world mirrors your inner certainty. When you walk by faith, you walk on the bridge you are building. Step by step, thought by thought, with complete assurance that every footstep brings you closer to manifestation. Faith is the language of creation. It speaks life into stillness. It calls things that are not as though they already were. When you say, "It is done," with true conviction, the universe rearranges itself to match your declaration. The visible world must conform to the image held in faith. Because faith is not passive, it is active, generative, and magnetic. You may not yet see the full picture, but faith reminds you that the painting is already complete. You're simply walking into its unveiling. When the mind wavers, return to faith. When the path seems uncertain, remember that the bridge is being built beneath your feet. Faith does not require sight. In every moment of trust, the unseen becomes more real. The invisible begins to take shape. Doors begin to open that you didn't even know existed. Circumstances align, people appear, opportunities unfold. And then one day, what you once held only in your imagination stands before you in living form, not because you forced it, but because you believed. Faith is the bridge. Walk it boldly, walk it daily, and know that every step taken in trust is a step closer to everything your heart has already claimed in the unseen. Everything you experience in life begins first within. The outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. The thoughts you nurture, the emotions you dwell upon, and the images you repeatedly hold in your mind. The power that shapes your reality does not lie outside of you, it lives within you. Your inner world creates the outer change. When you align your imagination with victory, when you see yourself as already complete, successful, and fulfilled, life has no choice but to rearrange itself to match that inner picture. Imagination is not a place of fantasy. It is the womb of creation. Every experience, every achievement, every transformation first begins as an idea, a vision, a feeling within. The world responds to what you assume to be true about yourself. If you see yourself as defeated, life will echo defeat. If you see yourself as triumphant, life will echo triumph. You are the author of your outer world, and imagination is your pen. To change your life, you must first change your inner conversation. Speak victory even when circumstances seem to contradict it. Picture yourself walking in the reality you desire, not as a distant hope, but as a present fact. Feel it deeply, live it mentally, and soon it will harden into physical form. The outer world is obedient to the inner command. Whatever you consistently imagine with emotion becomes your experience. This is not merely positive thinking, it is alignment with divine law. The unseen responds to certainty. When your imagination is filled with faith instead of fear, your vibration changes. You begin to move differently, speak differently, and attract differently. Opportunities that once seemed impossible begin to appear. People who can help you are drawn to your path. Circumstances that once worked against you begin to shift in your favor. It's not the world that must change first, it's you. When your inner world transforms, your external world mirrors that transformation. You cannot live in constant worry and expect peace outside of you. You cannot dwell in lack and expect abundance to appear. But the moment you decide to see yourself as abundant, loved, capable, and victorious, the external world starts to reorganize itself around that truth. This is why your imagination is sacred. It's the workshop of destiny. Guard it, nurture it, feed it only what supports your highest vision. See yourself as you wish to be, not as circumstances suggest. Feel the emotion of already having what you desire. Live in that state mentally until it becomes natural. Soon you will notice subtle changes, conversations aligning, opportunities opening, synchronicities appearing. It will feel as though the world is bending in your favor, because it is. Life always follows the pattern you hold within. The moment your inner world aligns with victory, your outer world must obey. That is the law. What you hold in imagination with unwavering belief will one day stand before you in undeniable form. So choose your inner world wisely, for it is the foundation upon which every miracle is built. There are seasons in life when it feels as if everything has paused, when prayers seem unanswered, dreams feel distant, and progress appears to have slowed to a crawl. In those moments, impatience whispers that you've been forgotten. But the truth is far deeper and far more comforting. Divine timing is perfect, not delayed. What seems like waiting is not inactivity, it is divine rearrangement working behind the scenes. Life is not random. Every event, every meeting, every delay carries meaning. The universe is orchestrating an intricate symphony on your behalf, aligning people, opportunities, and moments in perfect order. Just because you can't see the movement doesn't mean it isn't happening. Beneath the stillness, things are shifting. What feels like a pause is preparation. What feels like silence is construction. We often think of waiting as wasted time, but in truth, it's sacred time. It's the period when the invisible pieces of your destiny are falling into place. Divine timing never misses. It never arrives too soon or too late. It always unfolds in precise rhythm with your readiness. Sometimes the universe withholds a blessing not as punishment, but as protection. You are being prepared for what you have asked for, and what you have asked for is being prepared for what you have asked for. We are being prepared for what you have asked for, and what you have asked for is being prepared for what you have asked for. If you received everything you desired instantly, without growth or alignment, it could collapse under the weight of unprepared hands. So divine timing ensures that you are strong enough, wise enough, and grounded enough to sustain what's coming. Every delay is a divine investment in your stability. Every detour carries hidden instruction. Every waiting season shapes your character for the magnitude of the blessing. When nothing seems to move, that is when the rearrangement is most active. People are being shifted, doors are being crafted, paths are being cleared. You cannot see it because the work is spiritual before it is visible. But the orchestration is happening with precision far beyond human understanding. The universe never forgets what it has promised you. It simply delivers it in the moment that guarantees your highest good. We can live in it in the moment that guarantees your highest good. So trust the process. Trust that what belongs to you cannot be lost, and what is meant for you cannot pass you by. Trust that the pause is purposeful. Trust that your prayers have been heard and the answers are unfolding in divine sequence. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be in the grand timeline of your becoming. When the time is right, everything will converge effortlessly. What once seemed impossible will fall into place with grace and ease. You will see how every delay was essential, how every waiting period was filled with unseen movement. The divine timing is not slow, it is precise. It is love expressed through perfect order. So rest your mind, release your worry, and let the unseen hand of destiny continue its quiet work. What is meant for you is already on its way, and it will arrive right on time. There is a sacred pattern that unfolds before every major breakthrough, a moment when the pressure intensifies, the obstacles grow larger, and the temptation to surrender becomes almost unbearable. This is not a sign of failure, it is the sign that the shift is near. Resistance is the final test before breakthrough. The urge to give up often comes right before what you've been believing for finally becomes visible. When you set a new intention, when you begin to believe for something greater, the energy of your life starts to reorganize itself. Old patterns begin to dissolve. The familiar structures of your past identity start to crumble, making room for the new. But as this inner transformation occurs, resistance rises to the surface. It comes in the form of doubt, fatigue, fear, or discouragement. It's as if life asks, "Are you truly ready for what you've asked for?" This resistance is not punishment, it's purification. It is life testing your commitment to the vision you've declared. It asks you to stand firm in your belief, even when everything around you says otherwise. It asks you to trust when evidence is absent, to continue when it feels pointless, and to believe when the mind argues that nothing is happening. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the louder resistance becomes, not because you're failing, but because you're nearing the edge of transformation. Just as dawn feels darkest before the first light, your journey feels hardest right before manifestation. That moment of exhaustion, when you feel like you can't continue, is often the very moment the shift is about to reveal itself. When resistance shows up, it's not a wall to stop you, it's a doorway to walk through. Every feeling of opposition is proof that something powerful is in motion. The old version of you is being stretched, refined, and prepared to hold the new reality. You are shedding limitation, letting go of fear, and strengthening your inner faith. Each moment you choose perseverance over surrender, you build spiritual momentum that cannot be stopped. Breakthrough requires endurance, not just physical endurance, but spiritual endurance. It asks you to remember why you started, to keep your eyes fixed on the unseen promise rather than the visible struggle. Resistance is temporary, transformation is eternal. The pressure will not last forever, but the reward of persistence will echo throughout your life. So when you feel weary, remind yourself this is the test before the triumph. When everything seems to be falling apart, know that it's actually falling into place. Keep moving, keep believing, keep speaking life into your vision. Every hero story reaches this same moment, the breaking point before the blessing. And those who endure, those who hold their faith when the night feels longest, always see the dawn rise brighter than ever. The resistance is not your enemy. It is the divine signal that you are moments away from breakthrough. Don't stop now. The shift is already in motion. Gratitude is not merely a polite response to blessings. It is the sacred vibration that completes the cycle of manifestation. It is the spiritual seal that locks your desires into reality. When you live in gratitude, you declare to the universe, "I already have what I desire." And because creation always responds to belief, life rushes to mirror that inner assurance. Gratitude is not something you express after receiving. It is the energy that magnetizes the receiving itself. Every desire you hold is already complete in the unseen. Gratitude is the acknowledgement of that truth. When you give thanks before the evidence appears, you align yourself with the frequency of fulfillment. You move from wanting into having, from longing into knowing. This shift is powerful, for what you feel as already yours must eventually take form in your physical world. Gratitude transforms waiting into receiving and uncertainty into peace. Thankfulness is not a reaction. It's a creative act. Every time you say thank you with genuine feeling, you are affirming that the blessing exists right now, even if your eyes cannot yet see it. That state of appreciation sends out a signal stronger than worry or doubt. It tells creation, this person already recognizes abundance. Let more flow toward them. Gratitude multiplies what you focus on because it communicates trust in divine order. When you choose gratitude in the midst of challenges, you demonstrate mastery over circumstance. You are no longer a victim of appearances. You are the author of your reality. Even in difficulty, there is something to honor: growth, strength, wisdom, the unseen good unfolding beneath the surface. Gratitude opens your eyes to the hidden perfection behind what seems imperfect. It turns what you have into enough, and what is enough into overflow. As you practice gratitude, your perspective shifts. You begin to notice beauty where you once saw lack. You begin to feel peace where you once felt anxiety. This internal transformation is the real miracle, because once your inner world vibrates with appreciation, your outer world must respond with reflection. Gratitude is magnetic. It draws new opportunities, people, and blessings that resonate with your elevated state. The secret is to give thanks as if your desire has already arrived. Speak words of appreciation, not for what's coming, but for what is already yours in spirit. Thank you for the abundance that flows freely into my life. Thank you for the love that surrounds me. Thank you for the doors that open in my favor. As you do, your faith becomes substance. Your unseen reality begins to crystallize into form. Gratitude seals the blessing because it completes the circuit of creation. Desire is the spark, faith is the bridge, action is the movement, and gratitude is the closure, the final agreement between your spirit and the universe that says, it is done. Live in gratitude daily, not as ritual, but as recognition that you are already blessed beyond measure. The more you thank life, the more life gives you to be thankful for. Gratitude is the key that turns the invisible promise into visible proof, the divine whisper that says, it's already yours. You have reached a turning point, a sacred moment where everything within you begins to align with what you've been believing for. The unseen has already shifted. The bridge of faith is being built beneath your feet. Your inner world is awakening with power, and divine timing is orchestrating every detail with perfect precision. Even the resistance you've faced was never meant to break you. It was meant to prove that you were ready to rise. Now, walk forward with confidence. Let gratitude be your song and faith your constant companion. Everything is working in your favor even when you cannot yet see it. The doors are opening, the path is clearing, and your breakthrough is closer than you think. You are not waiting for the shift. Hold your vision, trust the unseen, and live as though it's already done, because it is. The universe has heard you, and life is responding with abundance, favor, and divine alignment. The shift has begun, and this time, nothing can stop it. Thank you for watching and sharing this sacred moment of awakening. May this message remind you that your faith is powerful, your vision is alive, and your victory is inevitable. Stay steadfast, stay grateful, and remember, everything is working in your favor now. There comes a moment in every life where the invisible begins to shift, where the unseen starts to take form, where the whispers of your inner world rise with such certainty that the outer world has no choice but to reshape itself. You are standing in that moment now. Everything you have asked for, everything you have prayed for, imagined, affirmed, and held in the quiet chambers of your heart is coming together beautifully for you. Even if the surface appears unchanged, beneath it, life is in motion. Forces you cannot yet see are arranging themselves in perfect harmony. The pieces you once thought were scattered are finding their place. The doors that seemed sealed are preparing to open. What was denied is circling back, this time prepared for you. Your job now is not to worry about how. Your only task is to assume the end with confidence. To walk, speak, breathe, and think as the one who already has the life you desire. The world responds to your inner stance, not your outer circumstances. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, creation is complete. You are not trying to manifest. You are recognizing what is already yours. Do not let your senses deceive you. They show you only what was, never what is becoming. Reality is adjusting itself behind the scenes with precision, aligning people, opportunities, timing, and events so perfectly that when your desire appears, it will feel effortless, almost too easy. You will look back and realize that every delay was alignment, every pause was preparation, and every closed door was protection. Right now, you are being prepared to receive what you once thought was impossible. Your desire is not on its way. It is unfolding, it is crystallizing, it is materializing through the path of least resistance. So shift from doubt to certainty, from waiting to welcoming. Stand tall in the knowing that your new reality is inevitable. Everything is coming together beautifully for you. Everything is aligning in ways your mind cannot yet comprehend. Everything you asked for is arriving, gently, powerfully, undeniably. Get ready to receive. Get ready to step into the version of yourself who always knew this moment would come. Get ready to witness life bow to your inner conviction. Your time is not approaching, your time has begun. Your inner assumption is the silent architect of your entire life. Long before anything appears in the physical world, it is first shaped and molded in the unseen territory of your inner state. What you assume to be true about yourself, about life, and about your desires becomes the blueprint that your outer world must follow. You are not reacting to life as much as you are calling it toward you, summoning its events through the quiet convictions you hold. Every assumption is a seed, and whether you are aware of it or not, your world is constantly rearranging itself to match the atmosphere of your inner beliefs. When you assume something with feeling, you are giving it permission to take form. The universe does not respond to your wishes, your doubts, or your fears. It responds to your dominant assumption. If you assume that good things come to you easily, conditions will gather to prove you right. If you assume that life is always working against you, situations will rise in agreement with that belief. This is not punishment or reward. It is simply the nature of consciousness. Life mirrors you faithfully. It is neutral until you give it direction. Your senses may show you a world that contradicts your desire, but your inner assumption pays no attention to appearances. When you assume the end, you override what is, and you impress upon the subconscious what must be. The subconscious does not argue, question, or analyze. It accepts whatever you claim internally, and in its unfailing intelligence, orchestrates the outer world to reflect it. This is why two people can live in the same environment, face the same circumstances, and still encounter completely different realities. Because each is governed by their own assumptions, not by the world around them. The power of assumption lies in its ability to bypass effort, struggle, and force. You do not have to manipulate the physical world. You do not have to chase, persuade, or push. Once you assume something as already true, you shift into the state of the person who has it, and life naturally reorganizes to support that identity. The outer world bends to the inner one, not the other way around. That is why imagination is more potent than action, and why belief outweighs circumstance. To change your life, you must change the assumptions you live by. Begin to observe the quiet stories you repeat to yourself. Things never work out for me. I'm always struggling. I'm still waiting for it. These are not harmless thoughts, they are commands. Replace them deliberately with assumptions that align with the life you desire. Everything flows to me effortlessly. I am always chosen. My desires materialize quickly and beautifully. Hold these new assumptions not as wishes, but as facts. The moment you embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the moment you take on the inner certainty of the one who already has what they desire, everything around you begins to shift. People change. Circumstances change. Opportunities arise that were previously invisible. Life becomes cooperative, responsive, and remarkably fluid. There is a realm beyond your physical senses, a quiet dimension where the roots of every manifestation are formed long before they reach the surface. Just because you cannot see the evidence of your desire in the material world does not mean nothing is happening. In truth, the unseen is already moving on your behalf, arranging circumstances, aligning opportunities, and guiding events in ways too intricate for the human mind to comprehend. The lack of visible change is not a sign of stagnation. It is simply the period where the invisible structure of your desire is being assembled. If it is not shaped, every intention you set, every assumption you adopt, and every inner image you hold with conviction sends a signal into this unseen realm. This signal activates forces that begin orchestrating the path of least resistance to bring your desire into form. You may not notice these changes immediately because the early stages of manifestation occur beneath the surface. Just as roots expand underground long before a plant emerges, life works with impeccable coordination. Timing, people, and opportunities must all align in perfect harmony, and this alignment occurs silently. When you doubt the process, simply because you cannot yet see the results, you disrupt the flow of what is already unfolding for you. But when you trust the unseen, you cooperate with the divine intelligence that is orchestrating your reality. Trust is not passive. It is a deliberate decision to believe in the invisible over the visible, the becoming over the current state. It is an inner knowing that the moment you desired something, the process of fulfillment began. Many breakthroughs happen in moments where everything seems unchanged. You may wake up one morning and discover that the entire trajectory of your life has shifted. Not because the shift happened overnight, but because it was quietly building for weeks, months, or even years. The unseen does not operate on your schedule. It operates on the perfect schedule. What appears as delay is often preparation. What feels like waiting is often alignment. What seems like silence is often the loudest movement behind the scenes. Think of all the situations in your life where things suddenly fell into place. Moments of unexpected solutions, perfect timing, or meaningful coincidences. These were not accidents. They were the visible reflections of invisible work that had been happening long before you became aware of it. The same unseen forces that shaped those moments are shaping your current desire. The key is to remain steady in your inner conviction, even when the outer world shows no sign of progress. The world you see is always a step behind your inner world. By the time the physical evidence appears, the unseen has already completed most of the work. That is why manifestations often feel instantaneous when they finally show up. They were in motion long before your senses caught up. So do not be fooled by appearances. Do not allow the absence of visible change to convince you that nothing is happening. The unseen is always moving, always weaving, always responding to your inner state. Hold your vision with quiet certainty, for the invisible currents of life are already flowing in your favor, bringing your desire to you in the most effortless and precise way possible. The desire is not a mere wish, nor is it a fragile hope waiting for permission to exist. A true desire is a spiritual announcement, a signal from the deeper, wiser part of you revealing what is already prepared. The moment you felt the desire, the moment your heart recognized it, creation was complete. You are not trying to bring something into existence. You are simply moving toward the realization of what is already yours. Desire is proof of ownership, not a request for approval. Most people misunderstand desire. They treat it as something distant, something that may or may not come, something they must chase or struggle for. But the truth is far more powerful. Your desire is a finished reality, waiting for your recognition. It is a snapshot of your future self, calling you forward. It is the evidence that somewhere in the unseen, this version of your life already exists. You are not dreaming about what could be, you are remembering what is. When you accept this truth, desire shifts from stress to certainty. It becomes a promise, not a possibility. You stop begging life to give you what you want and begin aligning with what is already waiting for you. You no longer plead, you prepare. You no longer seek, you expect. The moment you embraced the desire, a new timeline unfolded, one in which your wish is already fulfilled. Creation is finished the instant the desire enters your awareness, because desire and fulfillment are a single event seen from two different angles. The desire is the seed, the fulfillment is the harvest. But both exist in the same spiritual moment. Time is simply the bridge that allows your human experience to catch up with what your inner being already knows. Your role now is not to force or struggle. Your role is to shift into the state of the one who already possesses the desire. How would you think, speak, and feel if this desire were already manifested? That inner shift is what draws the outer manifestation into your life. You are not creating reality, you are selecting it. You are not making something happen, you are allowing what is finished to appear. Doubt is the only thing that delays realization. Doubt makes you believe you are separate from what is already yours. But the moment you return to the state of certainty, the pathway clears. Life begins to move around you. Circumstances rearrange themselves. People, events, and opportunities shift to mirror the reality you internally occupy. Think of how many things in your life once seemed impossible, yet eventually unfolded in ways you could never have predicted. Those manifestations were not random. They were the result of desires you had already accepted internally long before they appeared outwardly. This is the same process happening now, only with greater awareness and intention. So rest in the knowing that your desire is a delivered promise. It is not coming, it has already arrived in the unseen. You are simply aligning with the state of receiving it. Nothing can stop what is already complete. Nothing can block what was already yours the moment you desired it. Your only task now is to prepare your mind, your emotions, and your expectation to meet the reality that is already waiting for you. Imagination is the sacred bridge that carries you from where you are to where you desire to be. It is not a fantasy or a daydream. It is the creative workshop of your reality. Everything you have ever achieved, created, or experienced first existed as an image in your mind. Before it became physical, it was imagined. This is because imagination is the blueprint of creation, the connecting thread between the invisible and the visible. When you learn to dwell in the end, within your imagination, you instruct the outer world to reshape itself accordingly. Your imagination is not limited by time, circumstance, or logic. It is free from all the restrictions that govern the physical world. In imagination, you can be, do, or have anything instantly. And the state you consistently occupy in imagination becomes the state your outer world must conform to. This is the great secret. The outer world does not change first. The inner world does. The unseen informs the seen. Your senses may insist that nothing has shifted, but imagination bypasses the senses entirely. It works at a higher level of truth. When you dwell in the end, you enter the version of yourself who already has the desire fulfilled. You think their thoughts, you feel their feelings, you embody their confidence, their assurance, their peace. This inner embodiment is what magnetizes the corresponding outer events. You are not waiting for the manifestation, you are rehearsing it internally until it becomes natural. What feels natural inside becomes inevitable outside. Most people make the mistake of using imagination to replay fears, doubts, and unwanted scenarios. They imagine what they don't want with far more intensity than what they do. And because imagination is always creative, the world responds to those inner images just as faithfully. But when you deliberately choose to dwell on your desired outcome, you redirect the full power of your imagination toward fulfillment. Imagination is not wishful thinking, it is a deliberate act of creation. It is a decision to prioritize the inner truth over the outer appearance. When you imagine the end with conviction, you shift your state of being. And the world mirrors not your desire, but your state. The moment the end feels normal to you, when it stops feeling like a dream and starts feeling like a fact, the manifestation begins to crystallize in the physical world. As you live in the end through imagination, subtle changes begin to happen. Your behavior shifts without forcing it. Your energy becomes more aligned. You take inspired actions without overthinking. People show up, opportunities unfold, timing aligns. What once felt far away moves closer because you have bridged the gap internally. Reality adjusts itself, not because you worked harder, but because you occupied the state of the fulfilled desire. Imagination is your greatest power because it allows you to enter the version of yourself who already lives the life you desire. And once you become that version internally, the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself. You are not imagining to escape reality, you are imagining to command it. The more you dwell in the end, the sooner the end becomes your lived experience. Confidence in the invisible is the true foundation of effortless manifestation. It is the quiet, unwavering knowing that what you desire is already yours, even if your physical senses have not yet caught up. This kind of inner certainty is not loud or boastful. It is calm, steady, and deeply grounded. It is the understanding that what is unseen is far more real than what is currently visible. You receive not according to what you want, but according to what you expect. And expectation is simply belief in motion. Most people do not fail to manifest because their desires are too big. They fail because their doubt interrupts the natural flow of what is already forming for them. Doubt creates emotional friction. It introduces hesitation into a process that needs your trust. When you doubt, you energetically push away what is trying to come closer. Doubt says, I hope it happens, but I don't truly believe it will. And life mirrors that indecision. Expectation, however, is a completely different state. Expectation is spiritual confidence. It is the feeling of preparing for what you know is coming. When you expect your desire, you shift your inner posture. You stop worrying about timing. You stop analyzing the how. You stop seeking constant reassurance. Instead, you move through your days with a quiet assurance that everything is aligning in your favor. Expectancy is not pretending. It is not forcing belief. It is choosing to trust the invisible more than the visible. Every manifestation begins in the unseen. The physical world is always the last place the change appears. When you understand this, you no longer panic. When there is no outer evidence, you recognize that the invisible stage is the most active stage. The roots are growing, the structure is forming, the path is clearing, and your belief is what allows the process to continue without obstruction. Confidence in the invisible means you behave differently. You speak from the end, you think from the end, you carry yourself like someone whose desire is inevitable. You do not cling, chase, or force. You prepare, you make space, you welcome. You don't look for signs, because you are the sign. The state of certainty within you is the proof that your desire is already realized in the spiritual realm. When you expect something, you naturally begin to align with it. Your emotions elevate, your actions become more intuitive, your decisions become more aligned. You naturally move toward the opportunities that lead you to your desire, often without realizing it. Expectation accelerates the manifestation because it removes the resistance that doubt creates. And here is the truth. You only receive what you are prepared to receive. If your desire showed up today, would your state match it? Would your inner world be ready? Expectation places you in the receiving mode. It turns you from someone who wants into someone who has. Doubt delays because it keeps you in a state of separation from your desire. Expectation accelerates because it unites you with it. So cultivate confidence in the unseen and trust the invisible processes at work. Everything you desire is already formed. Your expectation is what opens the door for it to enter your reality. Your new reality is not a distant possibility or a fragile hope. It is an inevitability. The moment you assumed the end, the moment you claimed your desire internally, a new timeline unfolded for you. This timeline is not dependent on effort, struggle, or force. It is dependent on alignment. Your only real work now is to surrender to what is already yours. Surrender is not giving up. It is giving in to the natural flow of the reality you have already selected. When you force, you are acting from a place of disbelief. Forcing comes from the fear that if you do not push, nothing will happen. It is rooted in the assumption that the desire is far away. But when you surrender, you are acting from the inner knowing that everything is unfolding perfectly. Surrender says, I trust the process. I trust the timing. I trust that what is mine cannot be lost. Forcing creates resistance. Surrender creates flow. Your manifestation is not coming, it is arriving. This is an important shift. When something is coming, it feels uncertain, conditional, dependent on circumstances. It implies distance. But when something is arriving, it is already in motion. You are simply awaiting its appearance. The universe has already received your inner declaration. The arrangement of circumstances, people, and events is already underway. The outer world is catching up to the inner decision you have made. Your job now is to step out of the way. When you worry, when you check for signs, when you question the timing, you stand between yourself and the reality already moving toward you. Surrender means you stop micromanaging the universe. You release the need to control the path and focus instead on maintaining the state of the one who already has their desire. The more you rest in that state, the faster your new reality solidifies around you. Surrender is a state of peace. It is a deep exhale. It is the internal declaration that you no longer chase what is yours, because what is yours is already on its way. You no longer obsess over the how, because the how is not your responsibility. The path will reveal itself in the perfect moment. The same intelligence that gave you the desire is the same intelligence orchestrating its fulfillment. And this arrival often feels effortless. Manifestations tend to come in ways you did not predict, through channels you never expected, and at moments that feel divinely timed. You look back and realize that every delay was alignment, every pause was preparation, and every detour was leading you to something better than you imagined. This is the beauty of surrender. You allow the universe to exceed your expectations instead of trying to force an outcome based on your limited perspective. Your new reality is inevitable. It is locked in. It is done. All you need to do is relax into the knowing that the version of you who already has your desire is not a fantasy. It is your truth. Live from that version now. Think like them, move like them, feel like them. Let their confidence become your normal. As you surrender to this version of yourself, your outer world will rise to meet it. In the end, everything you desire is already taking form in the unseen. Your assumptions are shaping your reality. The invisible currents of life are aligning in your favor. Your desires are delivered promises. Your imagination is the bridge that carries you into fulfillment. Your confidence in the invisible accelerates your receiving, and your surrender allows the inevitable to unfold. You are not waiting for your new reality. You are stepping into it. Every inner shift you make is a declaration to the universe. And life is responding to you with precision, beauty, and perfect timing. Trust the process. Rest in the knowing. Live from the end. What you seek is already yours, and it is arriving in ways more effortless and extraordinary than you ever imagined. Thank you for listening, for believing, and for allowing these words to remind you of your power. Your transformation is already happening. Thank you. Beloved, there comes a moment in every life when heaven whispers, now. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. The atmosphere around you has shifted. The currents of divine movement are no longer waiting for your permission. They are flowing in your direction. What you once prayed for in tears is being arranged in your favor with precision. The move of God has begun. You may not see it yet with your natural eyes, but deep within something is stirring. The invisible hand of grace is positioning people, places, and circumstances to honor the faith you've held in silence. Every closed door was not rejection, it was redirection. Every season of stillness was the womb of your new beginning. God is not coming. He has already moved. The evidence of his movement begins in your awareness. When you accept within yourself that everything is working for your good, you join the current of divine favor. What was once an obstacle becomes a bridge. What was once loss transforms into lesson. The law of the Spirit is simple. What you accept as true within must appear without. So receive this now, not as a wish, not as a hope, but as a settled reality. You are favored. You are chosen. You are the vessel through which God's movement expresses itself. Every limitation that once defined you is dissolving. The unseen power of divine intention is rewriting your story. The move of God is not something happening to you. It is something unfolding through you. Pause for a moment and feel it. The stillness in your spirit is confirmation that heaven has already answered. The joy that rises within you is not imagination, it is evidence. When your inner world aligns with divine truth, the outer world has no choice but to mirror it. You are stepping into divine timing. You are entering the flow where effort ends and alignment begins. The delay was only the gathering of strength. The silence was the preparation for your sound. The darkness was the canvas for the light now bursting forth in you. So lift your head. Expect good news. Walk as one who already possesses the promise. Speak as one whose words are charged with divine authority. For when you declare that everything is working in your favor, you are not making a request. You are revealing what heaven has already decreed. This is your confirmation. The move of God has begun. Not tomorrow, not next year, but now. Receive it in faith. Receive it in gratitude. Receive it in stillness. Everything you have walked through was leading you to this moment, a moment of divine favor, divine order, divine manifestation. The universe has heard your faith. Heaven has answered your cry. Receive it now. The divine shift has already begun. Whether you sense it or not, something sacred and unseen is working quietly on your behalf. The invisible hand of God is rearranging the pieces of your life, aligning every detail, every encounter, every circumstance in perfect harmony with your destiny. What once looked like chaos was never disorder. It was divine choreography. You may have felt delays, detours, and disappointments, but all of them were a part of the greater movement of heaven that has now entered a season of manifestation. There are moments when it seems as though nothing is happening, when your prayers echo in silence and your faith feels like it's standing still. Yet even then, God is working behind the curtain of your awareness. The shift is never loud. It begins in the quiet spaces of your soul, in the unseen realm where faith gives birth to reality. You may not notice the transformation at first because the move of God often starts small, like the first light of dawn that slowly overtakes the darkness. This divine shift is not about striving or chasing, it's about alignment. It's about coming into harmony with the truth that you are already within the flow of God's favor. The unseen hand does not struggle to bless you, it simply arranges the path so that what is meant for you finds its way with ease. The opportunities that seemed lost, the relationships that seemed broken, the seasons that seemed wasted, all are being rewoven into something meaningful. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. Think of how seeds grow beneath the soil. For a time, there is no evidence of life above the surface. Yet everything essential is happening below. Roots are forming, strength is being built, and potential is awakening. That's how divine movement works. Just because you cannot see it does not mean it is not real. In truth, the unseen is often more powerful than the visible. The shift begins internally, through belief, through acceptance, through quiet confidence that all things are working together for your good. You are not waiting for God to begin. He has already begun. The moment you believed, the moment you chose to trust, even when you didn't understand, something shifted. Every thought of faith, every word spoken in gratitude, every moment of surrender added momentum to the unseen current moving in your favor. The hand of God is not idle. It is active, adjusting timelines, aligning hearts, opening doors you cannot yet see. Soon what has been working in secret will become visible. The conversations you need, the connections you've prayed for, the opportunities designed just for you, they will unfold naturally because they have been divinely arranged. Your only task is to remain still in trust, to live as if the miracle has already happened. When you rest in this knowing, peace becomes your confirmation. The divine shift is not coming, it is here, and it is moving every detail of your life toward the fulfillment of divine purpose. Everything that appears in your life is first conceived within. The outer world is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the images, emotions, and beliefs you nurture in the hidden chambers of your mind. The inner vision creates the outer reality. What you accept as true in faith must one day take form. Your circumstances are not random, they are the visible expression of your invisible convictions. The moment you see clearly within, your world begins to reorganize itself to match that inner sight. The divine process of creation always begins in the unseen. Every dream, every answered prayer, every breakthrough is first born in imagination, through the quiet conviction that what you desire already exists in spirit. Faith is not merely hoping for something. It is perceiving it inwardly until it becomes undeniable. When your inner awareness accepts a truth so completely that it feels real, creation begins its sacred work of reflection. The world outside bends to the pattern you hold within. If you look around and see limitation, you are only witnessing the residue of old beliefs. You are never stuck. You are simply observing yesterday's vision. But when you dare to shift the image within, to see abundance instead of lack, healing instead of pain, victory instead of defeat, you set in motion a new cycle of manifestation. The universe cannot resist the pull of a focused mind. The unseen power that governs all things responds to the vibration of certainty. Your inner acceptance is the birthplace of divine manifestation. This means that nothing new can emerge in your life until it has first been welcomed in your imagination. To receive something spiritually is to claim it inwardly before evidence appears. It is to live from the end, to think, feel, and act as though what you desire is already accomplished. This inner alignment invites the outer world to conform. The moment you stop doubting and start dwelling in the feeling of the answered prayer, you shift realities. The greatest secret of faith is emotional agreement. When your emotions and thoughts unite in harmony, creation is inevitable. That's why doubt delays and fear distorts. They divide your energy. But when you hold a single, unwavering image of good, when you feel gratitude before the blessing arrives, you open the door for divine power to flow without resistance. The invisible becomes visible because you have made it real within yourself. Understand this deeply. You are not waiting on circumstances to change. Circumstances are waiting on you to see differently. The kingdom of God is within you. It is the realm of perfect creation where every possibility already exists. Your task is not to force or struggle, but to envision, to believe, and to emotionally dwell in the outcome you desire. Soon the world around you will echo the song of your inner vision. People will call it coincidence, but you will know it was faith shaping reality. The outer world is nothing more than the canvas, and your imagination is the brush, guided by divine power. What you hold in faith within must appear without, for God always fulfills the image conceived in the heart that dares to believe. You are standing in a season of favor. This is not just another moment in time, it is a divine intersection where everything that once seemed delayed or denied is being transformed into evidence of God's perfect timing. The struggles, the waiting, the unanswered prayers, they were not punishments but preparations. Every disappointment was shaping your character, refining your faith, and aligning you for what could not come before its appointed hour. What felt like stagnation was divine strategy. Heaven was preparing you for release. Favor does not always announce itself with noise. It often comes quietly after a long silence. You may have endured seasons where doors refused to open, where your efforts seemed fruitless, and where the promises of God felt distant. Yet in those moments, something sacred was happening within you. You were being strengthened to carry what is now being released. God does not withhold to punish. He withholds to protect and prepare. If it had come earlier, you might not have had the capacity to sustain it. But now you are ready. The season you are stepping into carries grace that is no longer delayed. What was once resisted will now flow freely. What was once hidden will now be revealed. This is the moment where all things begin to make sense. The pain, the pauses, the pruning, the lessons learned in your wilderness were not wasted. They are the foundation of your wisdom. Every tear watered the soil of your breakthrough. Every setback cleared the path for your elevation. You were never losing time. Time was working for you. This is the nature of divine favor. It arrives when your heart and heaven come into alignment. The season of favor is not determined by external conditions, but by internal readiness. When your faith matures into trust, you no longer chase blessings. Blessings begin to chase you. You become magnetized to opportunity because your spirit now vibrates at the frequency of divine order. Look around you with new eyes. The very situations that once brought you pain are now revealing purpose. The people who walked away created space for those who are meant to walk in. The dreams that seemed to die are being resurrected with greater clarity and power. Nothing was lost. Everything was being rearranged for this divine unveiling. You are no longer waiting for your time. Your time has found you. Step boldly into this season. Expect doors to open with ease. Expect favor to follow your obedience. Expect restoration that exceeds your imagination. The weight you carried has turned into wings. The divine delay has ended, and the release has begun. You are standing in the manifestation of everything your faith has endured for. This is not coincidence, this is covenant. You have entered a divine season where grace works faster than effort, and where everything, without exception, begins to work in your favor. Faith is the bridge between promise and manifestation. It is the invisible path that connects what has been spoken by God to what will soon be seen in your life. Every promise exists already in spirit, waiting for your faith to bring it into form. Faith is not hoping that something might happen. It is the quiet inner conviction that it already has. It is the unwavering awareness that the word spoken over your life cannot return void. The moment you truly believe, the unseen world begins to respond, rearranging circumstances, people, and opportunities to fulfill your expectation. The universe is not random. It is responsive. It bends to the vibration of belief. The entire structure of reality is designed to reflect consciousness, and faith is the language that communicates with the divine order of creation. When you believe, you set in motion a process that cannot be seen with natural eyes, but is deeply felt in spirit. It is as though heaven and earth begin to collaborate to make what you hold within a living reality without. Every promise requires a bridge, and that bridge is built one thought at a time. Doubt tears down what faith constructs, but every moment you choose trust over fear, you lay another plank across the unseen divide. Faith transforms waiting into certainty, and uncertainty into peace. It allows you to rest before the miracle appears, because it knows that the outcome is inevitable. Belief is not passive, it is creative. It is the spiritual act of agreeing with divine truth until it becomes substance. When you hold an inner vision with unwavering faith, the outer world has no choice but to conform. Circumstances may resist for a time, but resistance only tests the strength of your conviction. Faith never looks to appearances for validation. It looks inward, where the promise is already alive. The moment you believe, something shifts in the atmosphere around you. People are moved into position. Conversations unfold at just the right time. Doors open where there were none before. You cannot see all the details, but the orchestration is perfect. What once seemed like coincidence is actually divine synchronization, responding to your inner state. The universe is listening to the song of your faith, and it echoes that melody back to you in form. Faith bridges the gap between what you have heard and what you will hold. It is not built in comfort, it is forged in uncertainty. When everything around you says impossible, faith whispers already done. It stands firm when logic fails, and it rejoices before evidence appears. So stand on the bridge with confidence. Let your heart rest in assurance that what was promised is already on its way. The same power that formed galaxies is working in your favor. The moment you believe, the universe reorganizes itself, and every element of creation begins to cooperate with your destiny. Faith does not wait for proof, it creates it. To receive before you see is the essence of true faith. It is the posture of a soul that no longer waits for visible evidence to believe in what God has already promised. Receiving from God is not an act of begging or striving, it is a state of being. a quiet inner knowing that what you have asked for is already accomplished in the unseen. To receive is to shift your awareness, to live mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in the reality of what is already yours, even before it takes shape in the physical world. Everything in creation begins in the invisible. The spiritual realm is the source, and the material world is the reflection. When you pray, you are not asking God to create something new. You are aligning yourself with what He has already prepared. The moment you ask in faith, it exists, but it exists first in spirit. Your role is not to wait anxiously for it to appear, but to dwell in the feeling of already having it. That feeling is the magnetic force that draws it into manifestation. To receive before you see is to act as if the promise has already been fulfilled. It means giving thanks before the answer arrives, celebrating before the victory is visible, and walking with confidence even when nothing seems to have changed. This is not self-deception, it is divine alignment. You are choosing to identify with the truth of what God has spoken, rather than the illusion of what your senses temporarily perceive. The physical world lags behind spiritual reality, but it must eventually catch up to what you consistently hold within. Your emotions are the signal you send to creation. When you feel joy, gratitude, and certainty as though the manifestation were already complete, you communicate faith to the universe. That faith becomes the bridge that allows the unseen to flow into the seen. The opposite is also true. When you dwell in fear, lack, or doubt, you delay what is already yours, because your emotional state contradicts the truth of abundance. To receive before you see is to let your inner world lead and your outer world follow. This is why gratitude is such a powerful force. Gratitude assumes possession. It says, "It is already mine." When you give thanks for what you cannot yet touch, you proclaim that you have received it in spirit, and the outer world is compelled to reflect that truth. Faith does not ask, "When will it happen?" Faith declares, "It has happened, and I rejoice." Everything you desire already exists in a higher dimension, waiting for your recognition. The moment you accept it inwardly, the process of manifestation begins outwardly. You do not need to chase or convince, you only need to align and allow. When your mind and heart live in the reality of the fulfilled promise, you have already received. And soon, what you once believed in silence will appear before your eyes, not because it was newly created, but because you finally chose to see what had always been yours. You are the evidence of the move of God. You do not have to look to the sky for signs or wait for something dramatic to prove that heaven is working on your behalf. The proof is already within you. The change in your heart, the renewal of your mind, the quiet strength that now sustains you where fear once ruled. Transformation is not just a sign of divine activity, it is the move of God made visible through you. Every shift in your thinking, every release of bitterness, every rise in faith is heaven at work in human form. There was a time when you doubted, when you questioned if your prayers were heard, if your waiting had meaning. But look at you now, standing stronger, seeing clearer, loving deeper. That is not coincidence, that is evidence. The presence of peace in situations that once shook you, the confidence that replaces anxiety, the light that has returned to your eyes, all of it is the mark of divine movement. God's greatest miracles are often internal before they are external. Before He changes your surroundings, He transforms your perception. You are no longer the same person you were in your previous season. What used to break you now builds you. What used to scare you now strengthens you. This is what happens when heaven moves through a human life. It doesn't just alter circumstances, it awakens identity. The move of God begins as awareness. It is the realization that you are not separate from divine power, but an expression of it. The evidence is the expansion of your consciousness, the birth of compassion, the awakening of purpose. The world often looks for miracles in signs and wonders, but the greatest miracle is a changed heart. When love replaces anger, when peace conquers fear, when faith silences doubt, heaven has already touched earth. You are walking proof that divine grace is real. Every act of forgiveness, every moment of courage, every prayer whispered in trust becomes testimony that God is not distant. He is moving through you, shaping you from the inside out. Even when the outer world seems unchanged, the transformation within is announcing a new reality. You are becoming aligned with heaven's rhythm, and that inner harmony will soon manifest outwardly. The peace you now feel will attract peace around you. The clarity you now possess will order your steps. The strength you carry will manifest as success, restoration, and new beginnings. The outer expression always follows the inner transformation. So do not minimize what God is doing in you because it does not yet look spectacular to others. The quiet work of grace is the most powerful of all. You are becoming the living message that God is active, that redemption is possible, that light always wins. The shift within your spirit is the sound of heaven moving in your life. You are the evidence of divine reality unfolding, living proof that the move of God has already begun and that His favor is resting upon you now. Beloved, as we bring this message to a close, remember this truth. The move of God has already begun. You are not waiting for your season. Your season has found you. Every delay was preparation, every battle was training, and every prayer was planting a seed that is now bearing fruit. The unseen hand of God has been guiding every step, turning what once seemed like detours into divine direction. You are now walking in a flow where everything is aligning in your favor. The shift within you has unlocked the blessings around you. Faith has built the bridge. Your inner vision has shaped your reality, and your willingness to receive before you see has opened the door to manifestation. You are living proof that heaven is active, that miracles are real, and that divine timing is never late. So stand boldly in this moment. Let gratitude rise in your heart. Speak life over your destiny and walk with assurance that everything is working for your good. The evidence of God's move is not somewhere far away. It is within you, breathing, transforming, expanding. Thank you for joining in this message of faith and awakening. May you continue to walk in divine favor, see through the eyes of spirit, and live each day knowing that the move of God is alive in you, now and always. There comes a point in every life when everything seems to stand still, when prayers feel unanswered, when doors appear closed, and when the waiting feels endless. But I tell you today, it is not the end. It is the turning point. Right now, unseen hands are moving for you. The same power that created worlds is rearranging circumstances, conversations, and people, all for your good. What looks like delay is divine design. What seems like rejection is protection. God is turning it all around for you. Do not measure your progress by what your eyes can see. The visible is only the echo of the invisible. Everything begins in the unseen, in your faith, in your inner knowing, in the quiet conviction that says, it's already done. When you declare within yourself, my time has come, you awaken the divine within you. The world outside has no choice but to reflect that truth. The moment you shift within, creation responds without. You are not waiting for your blessing has been waiting for you to believe. The power that governs this universe moves by belief, not by begging. When you feel it real, when you speak it as if it's already finished, the very fabric of reality bends to your conviction. God's timing is not random. It aligns perfectly with your readiness. So release the anxiety. Stop asking when, how, or who. These questions belong to the mind that doubts. The soul that trusts simply knows it is done. The obstacles you see now are being transformed into stepping stones. The closed doors are becoming open pathways. Your part is simple. Stay in faith. Walk, talk, and think as though everything has already shifted in your favor. Because it has. The invisible world has already delivered what your heart has claimed. Now, let your actions align with your inner assurance. Yes, storms came, yes, nights were long, but dawn is breaking. The delay is over, the tide has turned. This is your moment, your season, your time. Say it with me. God is turning it all around for me. Every loss is making way for restoration. Every tear is watering the seed of new joy. Every challenge was training me for this moment. My good mentor, the philosopher Imut Jastava, said in his memo, you are not behind, you are right on schedule. The divine has been preparing you, shaping you, and refining you for this very chapter. And now, what once felt impossible will become inevitable. Stand firm, believe boldly, receive freely, because your time has come. Come. What seems like chaos in your life right now is not chaos at all. It is divine order in motion. Every delay, every closed door, every sudden change that you didn't plan for is not working against you, it's working for you. The universe, or what many call divine intelligence, is not random. It moves with precision, weaving together events, people, and moments in perfect alignment with your highest destiny. You may not see the full picture yet, but the masterpiece is already being painted. What you perceive as confusion is only the brushstroke of creation, preparing your miracle. When life feels uncertain, remember, divine rearrangement is not punishment, it's preparation. Sometimes what you call a setback is simply a sacred setup. The things that fall apart are often the things that can no longer carry the vibration of who you are becoming. You prayed for growth, for increase, for transformation, but growth requires space. So the divine begins to rearrange, to shift, to remove, to replace. It may feel uncomfortable, even painful at times, but this discomfort is the evidence that the old is giving way to the new. Think of it like a grand orchestra. Each instrument, each sound seems separate when heard alone, but when the conductor lifts the baton, everything comes together in perfect harmony. That conductor's divine intelligence and your life is the music. Every delay, every detour, every unanswered prayer has its own rhythm. You might not understand the melody yet, but soon you'll hear how every note fits perfectly into your song. Divine rearrangement is not just happening around you, it's happening within you. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are being refined to match the frequency of your new reality. The inner shift must precede the outer one. If you were to receive everything you desire right now, before the inner foundation was ready, it would collapse under the weight of unpreparedness. So, the divine delays nothing, it only develops you. Every moment of waiting is a moment of alignment. When you feel resistance, don't fight it. Flow with it. Trust that what's leaving your life is no longer meant to stay, and what's entering is precisely what you need to rise higher. The divine never subtracts without adding, never closes without opening, never ends without beginning anew. The appearance of delay is often the sign that rearrangement is reaching its final stage. The universe is simply adjusting the final details before your blessing arrives. So breathe. Let go of control. What's meant for you cannot miss you. What's aligned with you will find you. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even if it looks nothing like you expected. The same power that holds the stars in perfect orbit holds your destiny in divine order. Trust the process even when you can't trace the pattern. Soon you'll look back and realize that every delay, every detour, and every disappointment was simply divine rearrangement, the universe turning everything in your favor. Your inner world is the blueprint of your outer experience. Every thought, every belief, every feeling you consistently hold becomes a silent command to the universe. What you assume to be true, whether good or bad, begins to solidify into form. Life doesn't respond to what you say you want, it responds to what you believe you already have. The unseen powers of creation are not waiting for your words, they are activated by your inner conviction. The moment you feel that it's done, the machinery of reality begins to move in your favor. This is the great secret. Assumption precedes manifestation. Before anything appears in your world, it must first exist within you as a living reality of consciousness. You cannot experience what you have not yet accepted inwardly. When you assume something deeply enough, not as wishful thinking, but as an inner knowing, it impresses the subconscious mind, and the subconscious is what shapes the external world. It reorganizes events, draws people to you, and shifts circumstances until your inner feeling is mirrored outwardly. Many people try to change their reality by force, through effort, struggle, and constant striving. But true transformation begins when you rest in the feeling that it is already accomplished. That feeling is the seed from which the harvest grows. The moment you claim within, it is done, the universe begins to orchestrate every detail to make it so. The forces that seem invisible are actually highly intelligent. They move with perfect accuracy according to the vibration of your belief. When you live in the state of your desire fulfilled, you become magnetized to everything that supports that state. The people you meet, the opportunities you encounter, even the timing of events begin to align as though guided by an unseen hand. It's not coincidence, it's consciousness. You have shifted from hoping to knowing, from waiting to receiving, from separation to unity with your desire. But the key lies in your feeling. You can repeat affirmations for hours, But if inside you still feel lack, fear, or doubt, then that is what will be reflected back to you. Feeling is the language of creation. The universe hears not your words, but your emotional vibration. So instead of pleading or wishing, become what you seek. Feel the joy of it already being true. Walk, think, and act from that end. This is not pretending, it's aligning. You are not lying to yourself, you are accepting the higher truth that creation is finished, and your assumption is simply calling the finished result into view. Everything that now exists was once only imagined and felt as real by someone who dared to believe. So start now. Assume the best about your life. Assume that everything is working out for you. Assume that your dream is already a fact. Feel it so deeply that the unseen has no choice but to reveal itself in the seen. Your inner assumption is the seed of destiny. Nurture it with unwavering faith and watch reality reshape itself around your belief. Faith is the bridge that connects what cannot yet be seen to what is destined to appear. It is the invisible thread that binds your inner vision to your outer experience. True faith is not a desperate hope that something might happen one day. It is the quiet, powerful knowing that it already has. Faith operates beyond the limits of logic and reason. It does not need to see proof to believe. It believes and therefore produces proof. Everything visible was first born in the realm of the invisible, and faith is the bridge that allows that unseen creation to cross into form. When you live in faith, you live in the awareness that your desire already exists. You stop asking when it will come and start giving thanks that it already has. This shift in consciousness is the key that opens the doors of manifestation. Hoping still carries the vibration of lack. It whispers, I don't yet have it. But faith stands firm and declares, it is done. That declaration transforms your inner world, and as your inner world changes, so must the outer. The world is simply a mirror, reflecting what you hold within. Faith is not passive, it is a creative force. It builds bridges between thought and thing, between dream and reality. When you walk in faith, you stop trying to control outcomes and instead align yourself with divine timing. You release anxiety and step into assurance. You begin to move, think, and speak from the end, from the fulfillment of your desire. This inner stance commands the invisible to rearrange itself until what was unseen becomes undeniable. Many confuse faith with waiting, but faith is not idle. Faith acts as though the promise is already kept. Faith celebrates before the evidence appears. It does not tremble when things look uncertain. It stands still and knows. Every moment of doubt weakens the bridge, but every moment of belief strengthens it. To have faith is to see with the eyes of spirit, to perceive beyond appearances, and to trust that the unseen is more real than the visible. There will be moments when your senses scream that nothing is changing. The world may show you delay or contradiction, but faith does not yield to appearances. Faith looks beyond the temporary and sees the eternal truth. The invisible power that created worlds has not abandoned you. It moves through you, waiting for your unwavering trust to complete its work. When you truly know that your desire is already yours, you begin to live from a state of completion. Gratitude replaces worry. Peace replaces striving, and expectancy replaces fear. You no longer chase outcomes, you attract them naturally, because your vibration matches their reality. Faith is not about trying harder, it's about trusting deeper. The bridge is already built. All that's required is that you walk across it. Step boldly, not by sight, but by inner knowing. For the moment you believe without seeing, the unseen world begins to move, and soon the invisible becomes visible, exactly as your faith decreed. Your time has already been declared. The breakthrough you've been waiting for is not on its way. It is already here, unfolding in perfect divine timing. What you've prayed for, visualized, and believed is not some distant possibility. It is a present reality, waiting for your recognition. You are not waiting for the shift, you are stepping into it. The only thing separating you from its full expression is awareness. The divine has already said yes. Now it's your turn to agree with that yes. Every desire placed in your heart was not given to tease you, but to call you higher. It was planted there because it already exists for you in the invisible. The moment you desired it, the moment you believed it, creation responded. The universe began rearranging itself to match the new reality you claimed. You may not have seen the evidence yet, but that doesn't mean it isn't here. The shift has already occurred in the unseen, and your task is simply to align with it, to live as though it's already done. When you say, "My time is coming," you unconsciously push your manifestation further away. You place it in the future, always out of reach. But when you declare, "My time has come," something shifts within you. Your vibration rises to meet the frequency of fulfillment. You stop chasing and start receiving. The energy of arrival replaces the energy of waiting. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, and see differently because your consciousness has accepted what is already yours. Everything in creation operates by divine timing, and divine timing is never late. You have not been forgotten or overlooked, you've been prepared. The waiting period wasn't wasted time, it was sacred alignment. The lessons, the delays, the detours, the moments of silence, all of it was shaping you into someone capable of holding the very blessing you asked for. The divine does not deliver promises to unprepared hands, but now the preparation is complete. The shift is active. The moment is now. You are stepping into the season that was written for you long ago. You don't need to force it, beg for it, or chase it. You only need to receive it. Feel the power of that truth. It has already happened. Every cell of your being should begin to resonate with that awareness. When you live from the knowing that your time has already been declared, fear loses its power, doubt dissolves, and peace takes its place. Move with confidence, not because you hope for favor, but because you walk in it. So lift your head. Stop questioning when things will change. They already are. What was once unseen is now materializing. Doors that seemed locked are opening. Paths that were hidden are appearing. The chapter you've been waiting to live has already been written and the page has turned. Step boldly, for your time has come, and the universe is rising to meet you. There comes a moment in every journey when the wisest thing you can do is let go. You have prayed, visualized, affirmed, and acted. Now it is time to release control. Control is the language of fear. It believes that without constant effort and worry, things will fall apart. Alignment, however, is the language of faith. It knows that when you surrender the need to manage every detail, divine order takes over and moves with precision far beyond human understanding. The moment you stop trying to force outcomes, the unseen intelligence that governs all creation, can finally do its perfect work. We are in the process of creation as much as it. So much of human suffering comes from the need to control what cannot be controlled: timing, people, circumstances, and outcomes. When things don't unfold the way we expect, we tighten our grip, thinking that more effort will fix what only trust can complete. But true creation does not happen through strain, it happens through surrender. It's not about doing more, it's about allowing more. The energy of forcing carries resistance, and resistance delays manifestation. When you relax into trust, you open the flow that was always meant to guide you. To release control is not to give up, it is to give over, to hand your worries to a power infinitely wiser than your own understanding. It is the act of stepping out of the way so that what is meant for you can find you without obstruction. Divine timing cannot be rushed, and divine order cannot be manipulated. What is for you will not require anxiety, exhaustion, or struggle. It will arrive in perfect sequence when you are internally aligned with it. And so it's important not to take future actions when you are internally aligned with it. Alignment means harmony between your thoughts, feelings, and intentions. It means your inner state matches what you desire to experience outwardly. When your heart trusts but your mind doubts, you send mixed signals to the universe. But when you release control, you unify your energy. You send one clear message: I am ready, I am open, and I trust the process. That surrender becomes magnetic. Everything that belongs to you begins to move toward you with effortless grace. Look at nature. The rivers do not rush, yet they reach the ocean. The trees do not force themselves to grow, they simply align with the seasons. Creation flows through surrender, not struggle. Likewise, when you stop fighting against what is and begin to accept what is unfolding, you align yourself with the rhythm of divine order. The very thing you are chasing begins to chase you. The art of surrender is the highest expression of trust. It is saying, I know that what's meant for me cannot miss me. I trust that even what I cannot see is being perfectly arranged. And in that space of faith, miracles begin to unfold quietly but powerfully. Doors open without effort, people appear without planning, and opportunities arise from nowhere. When you release control, you create space for divine intelligence to work miracles. Let go of the need to know how or when. Relax into the truth that all is well and all is unfolding perfectly. In your stillness, divine order speaks, and when it does, everything begins to move beautifully in your favor. To live in the end is to occupy the state of your fulfilled desire before it becomes visible. It means to speak, walk, and think as though everything you've asked for has already come to pass. This is not pretending, it is aligning. You are no longer waiting for your dream to happen, you are living from it. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the universe responds. It begins to reorganize itself to reflect your new inner reality. The end is the beginning, and when you dwell in that end, the floodgates of destiny open wide. Most people live in the waiting room of life. They hope, they wish, they pray, but they do so from the standpoint of not yet. They talk about their desires as something coming one day. But that mindset keeps the dream in the future, always approaching, never arriving. Living in the end pulls that future into the now. When you walk as if it's already done, your vibration changes. You no longer send out the energy of longing. You emit the energy of possession. And life mirrors that energy back to you. Living in the end doesn't mean ignoring current reality. It means refusing to let it dictate what's possible. You may not see the evidence yet, but you hold the vision so firmly within that it becomes more real than what your senses perceive. You begin to talk differently, not as someone hoping for a breakthrough, but as someone who has already experienced it. You walk with confidence, you think from abundance, you respond from peace. This inner transformation precedes the outer one. Everything in creation responds to the state you occupy. If you live in the state of lack, you continue to attract situations that confirm it. But if you live in the state of fulfillment, everything begins to rearrange to match that feeling. Opportunities appear effortlessly, people show up at the right time. Circumstances shift in ways you could never have planned. It's not magic, it's divine law. You become one with the outcome you've claimed. The secret is consistency. You cannot live in the end for 5 minutes and then return to doubt for 5 hours. The mind must be disciplined to stay in the feeling of completion, even when the world around you hasn't caught up yet. Remember, the world is a mirror. It reflects your dominant state, not your occasional thought. So hold firm to the inner knowing that it's already done. Feel it until it feels natural, until it feels inevitable. When you live in the end, peace replaces striving. You stop chasing signs and start embodying certainty. You no longer ask, when will it happen? Because you know that it already has. In consciousness first, and soon in form. Living in the end is living from the truth that creation is finished. Everything you could ever desire already exists in potential, waiting for you to claim it by faith. So walk like it's done, speak like it's done, and think like it's done. That's when destiny opens and the unseen becomes seen. Everything that is happening in your life right now is not random. It is purposeful. The divine has heard every prayer, felt every longing, and seen every tear. What once felt delayed is now unfolding in divine perfection. You are stepping into the season that was always meant for you. The rearrangement, the faith, the surrender, and the alignment were never just lessons. They were the foundation of your transformation. Now is the moment to walk in complete confidence that God is turning it all around for you. You no longer need to chase what is already yours. The unseen has become seen, the promise has become presence. All that's left is for you to receive it, to live, speak, and move from the knowing that your time has truly come. So release the past, embrace the present, and expect the extraordinary. The same divine power that began this work within you will finish it in glory. Stand tall, breathe deeply, and declare with certainty, my time has come. Everything is turning in my favor. Thank you for sharing this moment of faith and awakening. May these words remind you that the divine never forgets its promises, and that the best chapters of your life are not ahead. They are now.